can go to France or America, India, Asia, or Australia, just come back to London City.
As I see it, the Windrush people were actually invited to come to this country, to come to England.
That is me there. I am British. I told you I've been British all my life. That's me. Gloria and I had just got married. As far as I'm concerned, I was born British and British I stay. Growing up as a boy was idyllic. I used to go swimming every day that I can, running down from the house straight into the beach.
We weren't taught too much of your own island, yeah? In geography, in history, and this sort of thing. It was always either England, Australia, America, or whatever the case may be, but never actually Caribbean.
All the schools had a photograph of the Queen. All the schools had a big photograph. I'll never forget it, of Trafalgar Square. And when I first went to England, I couldn't wait to see Trafalgar Square.
And it was at that time that I decided it's time maybe for me to spread wings and see what I can do elsewhere.
London is the place for me.
I hope people don't think Windrush generation means people from Jamaica only. It's just the people who came around after, you know, the Second World War. The first ship that went to England from the Caribbean was called the Empire Windrush. But I went on a ship called the Ascania. The journey from Antigua, I was 15.
Is this your first time in England?
Yes.
Are you coming to join your parents?
Yes.
Where do they live?
London.
We arrived at the train station. It was a cold November morning. The train station was absolutely heaving. I didn't know London could be so cold. My teeth were nattering. My nose was expelling juices that I didn't even have control over. I was in a desperate state. Suddenly, there's relief because I can hear my name being called, and it's my mother. And she had what I had seen for the first time, a coat, an overcoat. I'd never seen one of those things, and gloves.
That's the place for me. Nothing to do. You can take a walk down Shaftesbury Avenue.
When I first arrived, I came to meet an uncle of mine who was already established here. So we lived with him for, another cousin and I lived with him for a little while, well, probably about 3 months, until we could find ourselves our own digs. But that was difficult to get hold of in those days, and you're often greeted with the sign, no blacks, no dogs, no Irish.
When I get to England, it was strange. I cried for about a week. I didn't know anybody here.
In St. Vincent, even now, most people would meet you in the street and never set eyes on you before, but they tell you hello. Good morning, sir. Good morning, Matt. Then you go to England. When I got to Tottenham, I never forget, maybe the first day or two, just walking around the area and see people in the garden hanging out their clothes. I was only a teenager. And I said, good morning, and the lady just turned her back and continued hanging out her clothes. And when I told my brother, who I was staying with, he laughed and he said, boy, this is England. White people don't talk to you like that in the street.
Mother had issued me with severe warnings about what I should and should not do. But as a young boy, I had to venture out. I had to have an adventure, see. And that was when I was rudely awakened by the shouts of nigger or black bastard or whatever it is. And I suddenly realized life is going to be difficult here.
The only thing to stop these hooligans from causing panic in Great Britain. The only thing to stop these steady boys from causing panic in England.
When we first came, it was the era of the Teddy Boys and Monson Rockers and that sort of thing, which I didn't really understand.
A crowd of 2,000 went through Notting Hill's streets, smashing windows and shouting plainly racialist slogans, demanding the deportation of all black immigrants.
One, I think it was a Sunday afternoon, when a cousin of mine and I visited Hyde Park and was almost naturally chased around by this gang of about 5 or 6 youths. Well, they were more than youths really, some of them almost grown-ups, with their bicycle chains or sledgehammer, whatever they can carry. And the slogan was, well, kill the blacks.
One of the reasons why I left London to join the Air Force, and this may sound quite illogical, one of the reasons I left was because of the violence in London. I thought, I want a quieter way of life. I want to get out of this. I was not yet quite 18 years of age, and 1958.
I joined the army. This was in 1962. This photograph of me means a lot. It's my first stripe, as you can see. Very proud day.
This is the first ship I was on in the Navy. I was only a youngster then, my very first ship. And this is all the beers that we had drunk.
Cyprus did get a bit tricky when the Turks invaded in 1972, and I was the sector warden trying to get people out of the danger and firing bullets and things.
I was in a Land Rover with another English guy, and they threw a grenade under the Land Rover. And I have facial cuts and broken fingers and scars and legs, but he lost his leg, and I think one of his eye as well.
Served in Northern Ireland 2 or 3 times. If you could imagine the paramedic on the streets here now, and what happens with the stabbings and occasional shootings and bombings, etc., etc., it was worse then.
I remember arriving at the Ministry of Defense building as very young senior NCO, only to be told by the officer I was reporting to, quite a senior officer, that you can't work here, you're black.
My administrative officer at the time, he sent for me one morning, great gleaming smile on his face below his mustache. And he said to me, Corporal, your promotion to sergeant has come through. But, and the smile disappeared from his face. But, he said, I'm not going to let you have it. I don't think our corps is ready for black sergeants. The bottom fell out of me, to say the least.
One captain actually tried to get me demoted. And I'm sure to this day that it was because of my color. He didn't see why the only black person on that ship should be in charge of communications.
In 1962, Jamaica got independent. The admin, they came to us, they get all the West Indians together and let them know that the country is independent and they got to get them passports. Yeah?
The difference between citizenship and subject was, I don't think, was really understood by a lot of people. Because if you're a British subject with a British passport, surely you must be, we thought, a British citizen, not understanding that who are citizens and who are not.
I think it was my sister called and asked if I had registered as a British citizen. I said, I don't need to. I was born British. She said, oh no, because St. Vincent is independent now, so according to the government, you're not British anymore. I said, look, I was born British. I'm in the British Navy. How could I not be British? So she said, I said, so how do I do? She said, you have to pay. I went to the captain. So what should I do then? He said, well, you have to pay. I said, no, sir. And he said, why wouldn't you pay? You have the money? I said, sir, I'm a senior rate. I make more than that in a day, a lot more than that. But it's my principle. Why should I pay? I've just come back from the Falklands, fighting for Britain, and you're telling me, well, thank you very much, old boy, but you're not really one of us, you know. If you want to be one of us, give us 70 quid. And I said, that's not on.
I was fairly mad about it. I thought, well, how could this be? The answer was, you seek a citizenship or you don't belong.
I think it was election day in 1983. I just got into work and everyone started asking for my autograph. I couldn't figure out what it was. But one of my cousins had spoken to the press. I think it was the Mirror. And I think the headline, it said, "Hero without a homeland."
So what have we here, Fred?
Second World War photographs of people from the Caribbean that actually served in the Second World War.
And do we know who they are?
Yes.
Yes. Yes, Flight Lieutenant Williams,
Williams, yes.
Williams, yeah, and Sergeant
Mackenzie.
Mackenzie, yes.
When Britain went to the Caribbean to recruit, they didn't go and pick up Tom, Dick or Harry. They went to the top schools.
Yeah.
And these guys had to take a test.
Yeah.
They had to take a proper exam before they become eligible to join the RAF.
So more or less they took the cream.
They took the cream.
Yeah.
Every one of these people gathered together in this studio is a West Indian. Every one has come across 4,000 miles of ocean from that great bay in the Atlantic which lies between North and South America, the Caribbean Sea. Of the African slaves who were brought across to work on the sugar plantations. Today, West Indians have common citizenship and common cause with us, and they have come over to help us.
At the end of the last war, quite a number of ex-servicemen, black ex-servicemen, at the end of the war, were forcibly returned to Jamaica, forcibly. Yeah, some even went back in chains, and that is absolutely honest. It was some of those people who were recruited to come back to UK in 1948.
Started when my partner, who was on a student visa, became pregnant, and she had a rough pregnancy, and then she was premature as well. The baby came 3 months before it should be. The doctors advised her, because she was vomiting all the time, she couldn't attend college. And when she applied for her renewal of her visa, they told her because she wasn't attending college that she would have to go home. This is a picture of the day before Marva and Nathan went to Jamaica. And they were in Jamaica for 2.5 years before they returned to England.
It was really hard. It was like my world is tearing apart. It's not like I have family right there, so I'm gonna go, I'm gonna stay with them, I'll be fine. I get there and life was unbearable.
I used to work with the bus company and I used to do 18 hours a day because I had to keep my home here and look after them over there. What I used to do is to make sandwiches in the morning, jam sandwich. And when I go to work, I used to have to sit and say, excuse me, I gotta go do this or do that. And then I go and sit on a different table from my friends for them to not see what I'm eating, you know. And I worked nearly 2 years straight, never get a day off. I used to sell my holidays to others to make the money for Marva and Nathan to live out in Jamaica.
I think the visa was 91,000 Jamaican dollars, and that is hard to put together. So it takes us a while to make the money up. Then it's the fear. It's like, to us, thank God for doorstep lender, because how would we get the money? It's just friends and relatives and doorstep lenders, and we're still paying off debts that we still owe.
I had to pay through the nose, but I had to do it at that point because I had to make sure that they get back here.
Suddenly, the government has turned around and decided, well, you're not welcome anymore.
It's ridiculous the way we're being treated. There are us three who are basically the same generation, one in the Army, one in the Navy, and one in the Air Force. I mean, that's only 3 of us from a little village in St. Vincent. And there are lots of other West Indians who I know are in the forces and so on.
And that is the reason for what we're having today. And I still ask why.
No postcode.
The governor crazy. He changed the law for a lady. The governor crazy.
You must be new since I left. I know you lived in England for many years, but do you understand now the problem that we have in there with the Windrush people and this sort of thing?
As a child growing up in this island, we were all taught about Britain, the mother country. We had to sing, "Rule Britannia, Britannia, rule the waves." We had to do morning devotion and play our pledge to the Queen of England. Now I am saying that the enemies of England are more welcome in England than we, the Caribbean people, who worked in this island planting cotton.
My family, being British, could be traced right back to 1869. My grandfather, whose name incidentally was James A. Providence, he was a child slave, born just before the actual end of the slavery. And it's documented somewhere that he was the first black Caribbean person to own a plantation in the Caribbean. All this used to be Westwood Estate. First it used to be in sugarcane, and then they used to have a lot of cocoa and cotton and sweet potato. We were we were a very big family in St. Vincent, the Providences, and we're all related.
All the stevedores quit working on the wharf. still the governor don't want her to take it off. Leave her alone. Do you understand? Hands off, don't touch. That's my command. He said I'd love to see her in the Bermuda shore. I said you look so pretty in the short and the short.
This Windrush thing shouldn't be.
No, well, we know that.
When people go up to England, you were still called a British subject, which is out of place.
No.
In itself, the word subject in itself was out of order, out of place.
We were citizens of the United Kingdom.
You were never citizen of the United Kingdom.
Don't tell me
you
that.
were British subject. Wasn't that the word?
We were
British subject, which is out of order, out of place.
Rubbish. My passport said citizen of the United Kingdom and colonies.
After you don't go and fight for them. After you don't go and war and fight for them. Before that you was British subject. Out of place.
When I left here.
And now they're telling you.
When we left here, we were a colony. So we were citizens of the United Kingdom and colonies.
Well, still now they're sending you out.
They can't send you out.
It is absolutely crucial to the community if we're able to continue to provide a meeting place for Caribbean elderlies. When we're young, we don't really bother about the problems of life because we can handle it. As we become older, everything becomes an issue and becomes a danger. So if we're able to meet together, we give each other assurance, reassurance of life not being as hard as it appears to be.
All our island, that's why we move into Great Britain. So in as much as they could take over everywhere, and nothing wrong with us going over there. They can do what they like and say what they please, but there's no place like the West Indies.
I want to think what I'm saying properly. I think it's this prejudice and this whatever is still here, and nothing could change it. No prime minister could change any of that.
Some of the product of Trinidad, if you don't know, textile, petrol, and calypso, St. Lucia and Grenada has their own product to supply the whole over. The best of rum and sweet potatoes come from the island of Barbados. In as much as they could take over everywhere, and nothing wrong with us going over there. They can do what they like, say what they please, but there's no place like the West Indies.
You know, it's puzzling to find out why they want to treat you like that now and say you have to prove you're British.
I'm in my 70s now. I left there when I was, 14, 15. So, you know, I spent all of my adult life here.
I was British until the time of my problems with Marva and Nathan. I was British all the way through because I did not know any different. Every time they change the rules, people are not aware of those changes. It's not explained in details. You get a little bit here, a little bit there, and that's how a lot of people get caught out.
Nothing has changed for Windrush generation. The kids from Windrush generation are still in no man's land. There's nothing that indicate that, yes, they are sorted, and no.
Certain people in Britain will always see you as a foreigner, regardless of how British you feel. As you walk on the streets, your color, some people will always see you as not belonging.
But will you allow that to stop you feeling British?
No, that wouldn't affect the way I feel inside.
It was horrible, and I hope it never, ever be that way again, ever, because a lot of people get hurt, and it's not pretty, you know, yeah.
London is the place for me.